Excuse me, could you point me in the direction of Scream City? Never mind. I think I found it.
Happy Halloween, horror freaks! And welcome back to Scream City. I'm your host, Jessica.
And I'm Monica. And today is our Halloween special.
It is.
I'm so excited.
Me too.
Don't you just love Halloween? I can feel it in the air.
I can feel it in my bones.
I can feel it in other places that I will not mention.
Okay. Hey, that was Monica, not me. That was Monica.
Y'all hanging out with Jessica for too long.
Yeah.
It's a lot. But yeah, we're finally celebrating Halloween, and I'm so excited. We will be talking about the classic slasher film, Halloween.
Yeah.
So
Great
we think
movie.
it's
awesome.
It's an OG classic.
I do feel like we call every movie we talk about a classic, but this is the OG
yeah.
classic.
This is an OG classic.
Yeah. So we couldn't pass up the Halloween season without talking about Halloween.
Of course.
So for this episode, however, we will be skipping out on the life updates since you guys will be hearing that from us tomorrow in tomorrow's episode. But anyway, Monica, take it away.
Yeah. Yeah. So I have a lot of feelings about this film, as I say about every film,
Same.
right?
Yeah.
I just think it's so great. Personal opinion, I genuinely love the Rob Zombie Halloween.
Okay.
I think it's really good. Don't get me wrong. I'm not putting it above this, the 1978 classic, but there's just something about the Rob Zombie one that makes it's just so much darker. And I think that's what drew me in.
Yeah.
But, so Jessica, why don't you just go ahead and start off by telling us, for your first time watching it, and your favorite kill and scene.
Yeah. So I watched this movie for the first time a few years ago, I will admit. Maybe about 6 or 7 years ago.
Okay.
I do know that my sister's the one who showed it to me, and I instantly, honestly, became obsessed with it. I think just the overall simplicity of the creepiness that Michael Myers kind of exudes.
Yeah, he's crazy.
It's just right. You know what I mean?
100%.
And I honestly just really enjoyed it. I obviously did get some good scares out of it. It was my first time watching it back then. And of course, you don't expect some of the jump scares or some of the eeriness of the movie. And it's just...
I think for a good 70, which we're going to go a little bit later into how, everyone that was involved in this film made this film to be, but I think they just did such an incredible job. Thank you. Yeah. Right?
So my favorite scene... there were quite a bit that I wanted to mention, but honestly, all the ones that I wanted to mention were just Michael being creepy, and stalkery. But I think one of my favorite is when the three girls are coming back home from school, and I think it's Linda who is the first one to leave, and she's walking to her house, and then you just see a cut scene to Michael Myers hiding behind some bushes in complete stalker
being
and
a complete
simp
creep
mode. I love it. It's so funny, but still creepy, and I appreciate the simplicity of it.
Yeah.
Because, they obviously didn't do anything too crazy. They just
they were just let's make him creepy.
Yeah. And he looks so funny, too.
Dude, oh my God. I watched this not that long ago, and the amount of times that I was not dying laughing, but I was just dude, this guy is, again, we had mentioned it in the Terrifier episode that, he's so unintentionally funny that I'm dude, there's just no way.
Yeah. I love him. My favorite kill. Come on now.
My fave
Personally, this was not hard. They were all really good, but nothing beats Bob's death.
I like Bob's death,
Not
too.
only is it iconic, but it's just so cool.
It is really cool.
Honestly, I think that may have been the biggest jump scare throughout the whole movie for me. And I swear it still gets me every time. I was recently watching it and I was yeah, that still got me. And the fact that he stays stuck to the wall afterward,
the
door,
being stuck to the wall with whatever he pins him up with, a knife, I think.
Yeah.
I think the thing about Michael Myers, and more than I think Jason or sometimes Freddy's, any other slasher, is that his always feels so personal.
Yeah.
When he's killing you.
Yeah.
And I think it's just so what did he do to you?
Yeah.
He was fucking.
He was.
He was
doing
getting
something
it
dirty.
in, doing the nasty. So now,
Because of that, you're gonna die.
because of that, you're gonna die.
Yeah.
My boy Michael has trauma.
Yes, he does.
He does.
But anyway, I love that. I love that kill.
It's a good one. I like that kill a lot, too.
It's sick and just totally iconic.
I love it too. I think my favorite thing about that, and it's something that I had, who was it? Tommy Lee Wallace was like helping kind of produce or direct. I can't remember. And they had told Nick, like, okay, just walk towards me. And then he was like, okay. And then he was like, okay, yeah, perfect. And then they were like, tilt your head, like, to the left and to the right. And then he did it, and then they're like, oh, beautiful. And they're like, it's almost like if he was admiring his work. And that is so funny, because that's exactly what he does. Like, when he kills Bob, he's just, like, staring at it, like
slightly tilting his head.
He's like, whoa, I did that.
Yeah.
Per
or like,
Slade.
what I think whenever I see that scene is like, he's kind of criticizing it. He's like, what could I have done better?
What could I have done better to make this
Worse.
Worse,
Yeah.
right, in the best way.
In the best way.
He said, but other than that, I slayed. Okay, next.
Quite literally. He did
Literally slayed. As he should.
What about you, Monica?
Oh, man. I don't remember when I watched this for the first time. It was so long ago. Shocking, I know. But I have this sense of remembering that this was a movie that I caught on TV, like when it was playing on TV, I think. Yeah. When I was younger, and I watched it by myself in my room or something. I don't know. I could be completely making that up, but it's just like a feeling that I get of nostalgia and like a bit of comfort. So I'm going to assume, something within that. So this movie for me is a huge seasonal movie that I have to watch every Halloween. I always make time for this movie and Trick or Treat. But, recently I watched this movie on a rainy day at home. So my room was dark because there was no sun out. I could hear the rain. I lit a candle. I made coffee in a skull mug, and I watched this movie, and it brought me utter bliss.
I love that for you.
The way
you posted a story, and I was like,
I did. I posted a story on my Instagram, and I was living for it. And then I was so upset because I had to go to work like an hour later.
Yeah.
But it was just so good, and there's something so comforting about this movie. Like I think almost any genuine like horror fan can say that. Whether you find this movie scary or horrific, like whatever it is, there's just something about Michael Myers that you're like,
Yeah.
Because I know I love Michael.
Well,
I love
here's the thing.
Mikael Myers.
Mikael
Myers.
Miguel Morales.
I love Miguel Morales.
Yeah.
Shout out.
I feel like a reasoning why he might feel very comforting is because he doesn't talk.
Dude, he's one of the silent killers, and I think there's just something so like, what are you
comforting
thinking?
about silence? You know what
There's
I mean?
something comforting about silence, right?
Yeah.
But starting off with my favorite scene, I might have to be a bit basic, and I feel like this is going to become a trend for me, but I love the opening scene. I love the opening scene. I'm a huge, huge sucker for a continuous shot.
Yeah.
There's something about a scene that's shot in a single like sitting that is just so amazing to me. I love it when I watch him like in the Conjuring movies because it's like it's kind of a thing that they do. The one that they did for Haunting of Hill House, I don't know, do you remember?
I haven't.
Yeah, it's so good, and it was so funny because I was watching like the behind the scenes for this, and they had said that it took them so many tries because they kept trying to move things out of the way, and they kept trying to like whatever. But the thing back then is that they had a camera that only let them film for like a certain amount of minutes. And so they're like, well, we can't get the entire scene in this minute, so what can we do to cut it up? So, the scene in the beginning where we are at, baby Michael's POV, and where he picks up the clown mask and he puts it on, and that's, you can kind of tell, but it's kind of where they cut it and then they start again. And I think it's like super, super cool.
I like those because it's like, oh my god, what's gonna
like you guys took no break. Yeah, like they just, I don't know, they're just so sexy to me. I love them. I love them so much. But I think it's so nice. I love, again, the POV that we get of baby Michael and seeing him experience his first human kill, because I'm more than sure that he killed animals before.
We don't talk about that.
Yeah, I mean, he killed 2 dogs in this entire movie. Yeah. It was awful.
We don't like that.
Oh, sorry. And we also kind of get to see why he's so obsessed with like killing babysitters, and more so specifically while they're having sex, and why it became, I think, a trend in a lot of slasher movies. And I don't know, there's nothing like a 70s, 80s slasher kill. because when he's killing her, she's just so like, oh, oh, Michael, ah, like you could tell it's like so, but it's so dramatic, it's so simple, and it just does the trick.
I'm like, Miss Girl, he is
my girl, all titties out.
Number one,
all titties out, ass
Number
out.
Two, he is a child.
He's a child.
You could easily kick him.
You could easily kick him. Took him to the side, but no. You know, she kind of stood there and took the kill. So, and I don't know if you've noticed, but there, other than the sister killing, there's not a lot of blood in the movie. Something that Irwin Yablans, who is the creator of Halloween, he had mentioned that, you know, he's like, I don't want the shocker effect of like extreme gore. You know, I don't want people to be disgusted. I want people to literally be scared of something of evil. And so he was like, so I don't want like all the blood and like all the guts. And it's so funny because one of the like FX makeup artists was like, I have blood if y'all need it. He goes, no, we're good.
I love that.
So other than the sister's kills, you don't see a lot of blood in the movie. Because he was like, I just want genuine fear. And that's exactly what he did. And he did really good with it.
I think there's a difference between fear and gore.
Oh, 100%.
But we're going to get into that in tomorrow's episode.
Oh yeah. But yeah, so I think is awesome. And I think they played off really well because this movie is still pretty scary without all the gore.
100%.
So, see? You know, speaking of a little bit of gore, moving on to my favorite kill, I'm going to have to go with the kill right after Bob's, which is Linda's.
Yes.
I love how he kills her with the phone cord because it's also pretty iconic. I feel like I've seen all types of costumes from this film. So, like, you know, Laurie Strode, obviously Michael Myers, and Michael Myers in his ghost sheet with like Bob's glasses. And I see quite a few Lindas, which like when, you know, in the scene where she's getting killed in her lingerie and stuff. And it's a common one. And so I think what made me obsessed with the kill is that, you know, she's trying to call Laurie next door and he takes the phone, wraps it around her neck and is strangling her. And then, you know, she plops, she dies. and then he puts the phone because Laurie is on the other line like, Linda, are you okay? He's like, he puts the phone to his ear like, hello? He looks like he wants to like answer and just be like, hi.
Like, yeah, she's here.
Yeah.
She can't talk on the phone right now.
She can't talk though. And I just thought it was so funny and I thought it was like really cute.
I love that.
Yeah.
You know, the beginning of the episode, I feel like here and there we were sort of mentioning about other slashers or kind of talking about them. But the one that I really wanted to talk about is Scream.
I love Scream.
Which it's like, why are we talking about Scream? We're talking about Halloween. Well, it's because, as many of you know, this movie, Halloween, is sort of featured, I don't know if that's the right word, but it's sort of featured on Scream, the first
I feel like Scream pays like a bit of an ode to Halloween
100%.
in Scream. So
but
they do a lot of references.
Yeah, a lot of references. For example, when we're at Stu's house and Randy's talking about the rules of surviving a horror movie, which was to never say, you know, like, I'll be back. And Stu goes on to like grab some more beer and asks Randy if he wants any, and he's like, okay, I'll be back. And that's literally what happened to Bob.
Yeah, that's true.
So
then he went to go get a beer too.
Yeah,
because Linda told him to.
Yeah. So thank you, Bob, for being one of the first prime examples as to why you should follow the rules of surviving a horror film.
Yeah.
Although because of his kill, I think the rules of surviving a horror film exist. But
of course,
still, you know what I mean?
Don't ever say you'll be back.
Yeah. And always be in a group and never have sex. You have to be a virgin. All that good stuff.
Stay a virgin if you want to survive a horror film.
Yeah. It's just, it's amazing. And I love those little features and
it's
references. Cute. They're my favorite. And especially when you like catch on because you're like, wait, I know what that means. I love it.
I saw on TikTok, I thought I could have sworn you told me, but maybe I saw a TikTok of it. I think I saw a TikTok of it where in the beginning scene, whenever Casey's parents walk in and then her dad tells her mom, like, hey, I need you to go across the street and call the Mackenzies or tell the Mackenzies, you know, next door to the Mackenzies and tell them to call 911. It's what Laurie tells the kids that she's babysitting. She tells them, I need you to go across the street to the Mackenzies and I need you to tell them to go call 911.
I love that.
I think Wes Craven took a lot from inspiration. Well, whoever wrote the script for Scream did quite a bit of an ode to Halloween, which I think is really cool and really neat because Both are very OG classic, like, slasher films. Another little Easter egg in the movie as well, when the movie that Laurie puts on for Tommy is The Thing. Yeah. Like, it's the movie that they're watching as, like, the horror movie for Halloween, and it's another, obviously, John Carpenter, like, classic. You know what I completely forgot in this movie?
What?
That we actually see Michael's face reveal for, like, a good second. And I forgot about that. After Laurie takes off his masks, after he takes she takes off his mask, and right before Dr. Loomis shoots him, and he ends up falling out the window. And I don't know what they meant to go with that, because they show it for a brief second, because she takes it off, and his face is a bit deformed on one side. And then, you know, he puts it back on. And he's like, there's just something
I don't think you guys have heard of the actress of who plays Laurie Strode. She's, like, not really well known.
She's really not.
She's not actually, in a lot of movies.
She's very low key.
Yeah.
She's not.
She's definitely not on Activia yogurt commercials.
I completely forgot about that bitch. Oh my god. Yeah, she's but she's cool though.
Yeah.
I think she played Laurie very well.
Yes. And I like how almost everyone knows who we're talking about, and we don't even have to say her name.
Yeah, we don't. I think she's amazing. What's her name again?
What's her name?
Kurt,
something
Kurt
Curtis.
Lee.
Lee, Jamie Curtis, something like that.
Yeah.
No, but no, the cast is really, really good. And honestly, I mean, I'm sure people nowadays are like, oh, this acting is trash because it was from the 70s, but honestly,
the acting was pretty decent for like a 70s
was
film.
Decent, yeah,
I thought it was pretty good.
And of course, I mean, he's not. I mean, technically he's part of the cast, but John Carpenter, of course, iconic
he did
horror director,
dude,
just overall amazing. And speaking of John Carpenter, he is going to attend the convention that Monica and I are going to next year. It would be an honor, honestly, to meet him, and we will definitely let you guys know if we do.
If we have the opportunity, if money allows.
If money allows.
If money allows, we will see.
If God sees fit.
If God sees fit, we will see. We will turn. What does he say?
If God sees fit, I'm gonna be 11 in May.
Yeah. If God sees fit, we will meet John Carpenter in May.
Yeah.
Literally. Yeah, I'm excited. So we'll have to see that. But talking about the cast, we have to start off with the two most obvious actors. Yeah, that was awful. Who bring this film together? Nick Castle and Jamie Lee Curtis. I love her so much.
The OG final girl.
She is the OG final girl. I would personally, though, like to thank Jamie Lee Curtis for being nearly in everything I find comforting, and I'm not even joking when I say that. Do you have like certain actors like that you just watch what they're in because it's them, and then you're like
100%. Steve
Carell, that is I love that man too. I have a lot of comfort actors as well. Steve Carell's definitely one of them. Jamie Lee Curtis,
Simon Pegg, and Nick Frost.
Not so much for me, but I can see that. Yeah. Adam Sandler is another one for me. It's just so many. And Jamie Lee is one of those for me, and I have a few others, but you know, we'll get into that whenever we go over their movies. But there's just, you know, her and Nick Castle have such like a great on-screen killer and victim chemistry, if you will. Which, really quickly, something about Jamie's parents that I wasn't aware until recently was I knew her dad was famous, but I did not know that her mom was the victim in Psycho.
Yeah.
I wasn't aware of that. And that's the reason why Irwin Yablans was like, oh, you want to hire Jamie Lee Curtis? They're like, I don't know. We don't really know what she's in. And then he found out that her mom was in Psycho, and he's like, oh, ultimate horror screen. Like, she has to be great. So, a little bit of nepotism there, but it's fine.
It's fine because it's Jamie Lee, and that's all.
Yeah, and I think this was also her first like major role. She was in a few other things before this, obviously, but I think Halloween was like her, whoa, this girl is great.
Yep.
Her greatest hit. So yeah, so apologies to Jamie Lee Curtis. I'm sorry I didn't know that beforehand.
But another fun fact about this film is that it was filmed during the springtime in 1978. So there was a bit of a pumpkin shortage, if you will.
Yeah.
But they literally also filmed this movie in 20 days.
In less than a month. Can you imagine? They were like, all right, go.
Personally, I low-key see it. But
really? Oh, I guess. Well, also, I feel like it was all filmed in, like, one location. I don't think they had
Yeah.
to go through, like...
They didn't have to do too much.
Yeah,
I'm sure
exactly.
nowadays movies are filmed in, like, within... I don't
4
know.
different states, locations, like, no
Yeah.
matter where you are. Again, I can go on for days when it comes to facts, because I think filmmaking is just so cool, and I love seeing, you know, what goes on behind the scenes and stuff. You know the scene where one of the beginning scenes where Dr. Loomis and the nurse are in the car and they're on their way to the psych ward to pick up Miguel Morales, to pick him up. That scene, Dr. Loomis, Donald,
Pleasance?
yeah, Donald Pleasance, who plays Dr. Loomis, he was actually drunk in that scene because they had found out that he was just like getting drunk in his like trailer for a long time. So this man was drinking on a job, and John Carpenter was like, "You better. What do you mean? Like, you know, obviously they were like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Like, you have to be at least coherent to film this. Like, you have a pretty long dialogue in this scene. Like, you have to." I couldn't even tell that man was drunk in that scene. They were like, "He did it." Next.
I'll definitely, you know, take a closer look next time I watch it.
That's what I said. I was like, damn, I'm gonna watch a little bit closer. But yeah, he was completely shit-faced.
I don't know how you do your research, but I do my research, after watching the movie.
Yeah.
But now thinking about it, I'm like, I should probably do it
I'm gonna look into it,
before.
especially if I know if I've watched the movie.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna watch it first and then pick up on things later.
Yeah.
I love that. It's
but
great.
That's crazy.
Right?
Not him drinking on the job.
Seriously. Must be nice.
But let's also mention the music in this movie because it is
iconic.
pretty intense and it's just so well known too, and it's just, again, like you said, iconic. And you can't say that you don't know the Halloween theme song,
honestly,
because
even if you've never seen the movie,
even
if you've never seen the movie, you can't say you don't know who Miguel Morales is and you don't know what his theme song is.
That, like, and I think The Exorcists are super famous and obvious as well. And I honestly think John Carpenter knew exactly what he was doing.
That man.
When he was creating those absolute bangers.
Honestly.
So if anyone who knows music, I'm pretty sure this is, like, synth music. Again, correct me if I'm wrong.
Simp music?
Yes. Simp music.
Simp music.
Synth music. I think it has to do with, like
the pianos?
I think so.
Probably.
I went to my job the other day to pick I left something at my job and I went to go pick it up. And I parked parallel in front of my store. I get out, and again, I'm driving my sister's car. I get out, and I hear a honk. And in my mind, I'm like, oh, they must be honking at the person to go because the light turned green, whatever. A work truck pulls up right next to me. And immediately I was like, fight or flight. I was like, I'm about to fight these people.
Scary.
And this guy rolls down his window and he's like, hey, where you get your Michael Myers sticker from? And I was like, okay.
Stop in traffic just to know where you got your sticker from.
And honestly, I was like, in my mind, I was like, I don't fucking know. And I just blurted out the first thing that I thought of. And I was like, Amazon. And he goes, cool. And I was like, the fuck? It was just like, so fucking random.
Why would you do it in such a creepy
like,
way? Don't you know us women are fighting for our lives out here?
I'm like, bro, just
please
fucking Google it. Don't
honk.
This is another little PSA. Don't honk at people.
Don't honk at strangers.
Easily, just Google it.
Just Google it, or if you really want to know and you need to know from the person, just be like, hi, I'm so sorry. Like, approach them.
Flag them down. Don't honk at them.
Don't honk at them and almost run them over.
Yeah.
Back to this classic. Seriously, this film has a great group of people who worked on this film, from the obvious one to, John Carpenter, the director, who at the time wasn't even known or even into making horror movies. He just wanted to make movies. Urban Yoblins, who is the creator, had watched one of the movies that John Carpenter's very first films that everyone thought was so shitty. But Irwin Yoblins was like, hey, I kind of like it. I like his style.
Yeah.
It got potential. He's like, how about, I got this idea of, the serial killer who stalks babysitters. You wanna get on this? And John Carpenter was like, sure, whatever. And now he is a horror king. And I love that for him. So good for him. I recently watched the The Movies That Made Us on Netflix. It's a show that I highly recommend to anyone who is like really obsessed with knowing how really like A-list films became to be, because they go over all of that and they talk to people who are like working on the film and things like that. So you get a lot of behind the scenes, which is really cool. But I watched the one with the Halloween episode. It was just really good to watch. I really enjoyed it.
Wasn't it wasn't the original name for this movie going to be like The Shape or something?
Something like that.
Because I think that's what they refer to him throughout the movie.
Yeah, they do. They in the show that I was watching, they had said that, again, Irwin's kind of idea for Michael Myers was just pure evil, which is what they kind of refer to him, even to the movies that they made this, today,
right,
about him, is that he's just the epitome of like evil.
Right.
And so they, this is what the shape of evil looks like in human form, or like in what people want to, kind of see, if that makes sense. I don't really know how to explain it, but yeah, basically. And then they had realized, like, they're like, well, I mean, let's maybe spitball some other ideas. And
they just went with the most simple one.
They went with the most simple one because they were like, well, this takes place on Halloween.
Right.
And it's something that can be very seasonal for a lot of people. And they were like, why not just simply name it, something simple when it takes place, and then people can use it every Halloween. Before we move on, I just need to talk about the infamous mask of Miguel Morales, because I'm not gonna live that down. This shit killed me. But I need to talk about the mask really quickly, because when I was watching this show, they go over how the mask came about. So it was Tommy Lee's job to find the mask that was supposed to be for Michael, and the only description that he was given from the script was a blank face. And this man, so he went to a costume Halloween shop and he picked out 2 masks: a saddish looking clown type of mask and a Captain Kirk mask, which, if you're not familiar with who Captain Kirk is, he is a character from Star Trek. And he had said that whenever he walked into the shop, it was a lot of like Richard Nixon and like kind of like human like type of faces, and Captain Kirk was, I guess, the most blank one that they noticed. But Tommy Lee, he went back to fix the Captain Kirk one, and he said that he shaved the eyebrows, he shaved the sideburns, he opened up the eye holes, and then he sprayed painted it white, and then he dyed or spray painted the hair dark brown. And when they tested both of them, they said that the blank face one just made him feel completely creeped out. Mm-hmm. But, like, can you imagine that an infamous Halloween mask or costume is based off of your face and you're not even in the film? I would be honored. I
love it. And listen, knowing my God complex,
dude,
I would never let anyone forget.
I'd have been like, that's me, right?
Yeah.
That's me.
But also, I totally get where they're coming from, and I think the fact that they got rid of like the eyes, obviously, and it's just like pitch dark, like pitch black, it's just so creepy.
Because I think there's something about, one, hiding behind a mask, but the only thing that you see that's real about Michael is his eyes,
like his eye movements and everything.
That's the only thing that you can see, which he doesn't really give much eye direction, but like I think it's insane.
But moving on to the episode, I think it's time for a little
Would You Rather? Yeah. I love the jingle.
So for this special, okay,
hit me with your bishop.
Would you rather be in a room with 100 Michael Myers, but only one of them is actually Michael Myers and the rest are just people dressed up as him?
They fakes?
Yeah.
They're fakes.
Fake ass people.
Phonies.
Or be stuck in a room with the real Michael Myers and try to fight him off.
In this scenario, are the hundreds of Michael Myers trying to kill me?
No.
No?
No.
But eventually, the real Michael Myers will find a way to maybe get me?
Yeah.
Okay. That's actually scary. Both scenarios are pretty scary.
Yeah.
Because I hate not knowing.
Same.
I hate not knowing. It makes my anxiety go crazy.
I think I'd rather be stuck in a room with one Michael Meyer and try to fight him off.
Okay.
Michael Meyer.
One Michael Meyer, please.
And just try to fight him off.
Okay.
Because one, Like I mentioned in the Haunt episode, being in a room full of like, you know, those type of rooms where there's like a million of them and you don't know which ones
are real and which ones are not.
So creepy.
It is extremely creepy.
So creepy. And number 2, I think it would honestly be very embarrassing for all of those other 99 people to watch me get beat up and killed by Michael Myers. And I can't let my God complex, you know, down.
So you'd rather die in solidarity.
I'd rather die alone.
Yeah.
So that way no one can see me except for Michael Myers. And guess what? It's not like he's going to go brag about it.
That's true. Because he's like, you're just another kill.
Yeah. And he also just doesn't talk in general. So that's me personally.
Okay. The only reason I would want to choose the 100 Michael Myers is because I would try to form like an Avengers team, but like full of Michael Myers. And just be like, look, listen.
But
like, what if they all thought that they were there because they were doing like a costume contest?
No, my thing is like how, like, what if you and like the other Michael Myers are like, yeah, let's get him, blah, blah, blah. I would like to think that I could beat him. Obviously, I know, logistically speaking, and all of that he would obviously kill me. But I think as long as I tried, it's enough for me.
Okay.
Sure, I died, but, you know, at least I tried.
It's the fact that I fought.
Yeah.
I don't know. I kind of want to try. I want to test out my, you know, fifth sense. And I'm going to say I'm going to go with the room with the 100 Michael Myers. I don't know. Never mind. Yeah. No, I'll fight him. I'll fight him individually. I choose the room. I choose the room with the 1. Okay, well, now that we're at the end of the episode, let's rate this classic. Again, we have 2 scales, a scary scale and a satisfactory scale. Just because a movie is good doesn't always mean it's scary. So, Jess, what are your ratings?
Scary scale, honestly, I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10.
Yeah.
It had decent jump scares, and just like I mentioned at the beginning, just the simplicity of the eeriness and the overall creepiness, stalker mode, you know. I'm always a sucker for that. And yeah, a good 7 out of 10 for scary scale. Satisfactory scale, I will give that one an 8.5 out of 10.
8.5, yeah.
Again, classic film. I personally really like it. Is it my all-time favorite? No, personally.
Okay.
It's not my all-time favorite classic.
Okay.
But I like it a lot. And it's iconic. It's awesome. And it will
not
never
you having
die.
An opinion.
Not me having an opinion.
Right. Different from mine.
Right. No, but Halloween in general will never go out of style.
It won't. I think that's one of the movies, that I think they did really well with choosing the theme. I think they did really well with choosing characters, costumes, like everything about all of these films and the franchise in general. I think they do really, really well with even the ones that were, you know, kind of like off chart and like remade, if that makes sense. Like, again, I love the Rob Zombie one. I think it does really well. I think he went really dark with Michael as a child, and I think he extended on that. And I think I don't know, there's something about the Rob Zombie one that I genuinely enjoy. It's definitely a lot more gore, and, you know, me and my gore.
I just feel like this movie will always be out. It will always be around, and I 100%. Appreciate that.
Part 1, Part 2, Part 3, to remakes, to
the final one,
to the final one, which I wasn't a fan of either. But
you watched it?
I watched it. It's
I haven't watched it.
I have my opinions about it, and not all of them are great. But you know what? That's fine. Not every classic needs to be great. Like, you know, when they try to extend the franchise and everything.
What about you?
Rating my scary scale, at the same. It's a 7 out of 10. It gives the eeriness, the creepiness, everything that Irwin Yablans wanted about this film, or wanted for this film, for, you know, to show to everyone. I think is exactly what I got. So I appreciate it. And, it's scary. It's not a complete gore. It doesn't feed off my fear of, like, haunted houses.
Right.
Like, it's not extremely scary to me, but it's enough for me to be like, ooh. satisfactory scale, mine's a 10 out of 10. I genuinely love this movie. I find it comforting. I can watch this any time of the season, but Halloween season, I watch it at least 10 times.
I love that.
So, and I think it's an overall really good movie.
It's a good movie to, I think, start off maybe your horror movie.
Oh, 100%.
Journey.
I think if you wanted to try getting yourself into horror and, kind of don't know where to start, there's definitely a whole line, but I think Halloween is a real good one. It's a bit of an oldie, so you kind of don't get the special effects and everything that we have today, so it doesn't look as realistic, if that makes sense. So that helps to kind of split reality from a movie. Michael Myers gives off the creepy, eerie, stalker vibe, and it's an overall really good movie, and it's entertaining, and it's great. I think it's a really good one. I think people would enjoy it a lot.
And I feel like we might sound like a broken record saying, like, this is a good one to start off with, but if you notice...
Don't start off with Terrifier.
Don't
start off with Haunt.
Or Trick or Treat.
Or Trick or Treat,
well,
honestly. I feel like Trick or Treat when you're a little more comfortable with gore, at least.
You're in the middle. But you'll notice that we only say this about
certain ones that you really can just watch and say, okay, that still scared me though, and you're like, okay, great. So,
but I think that concludes this episode. I'm sad our Halloween festivities are over, but listen, Halloween will forever live in our hearts.
Halloween is a forever season.
Yeah.
For both of us.
For
so
sure.
I love everything about Halloween, everything from cute pumpkins to from cute pumpkin jack-o'-lanterns to scary costumes and scary movies, like everything else in between. I know I don't like haunted houses, but I like the thought of people going to them and having fun and going through them and, having scary movie nights. I like decorating the house with not the aesthetic type of pumpkin, white, orange, and stuff. I like throwing scary shit on my walls.
100%.
It also kicks off Scorpio season.
I don't know about that part. I think Scorpio season is probably the scariest
part of this entire season. Yeah, 100%. I love it so much, though.
But if you liked this Halloween special, definitely listen to some other episodes where our flow is pretty much the same. And feel free to follow our social media so you can stay up to date on what movies we cover.
Yeah, we follow some pretty cool movies, But yeah, stay tuned for our regular scheduled episode, which will be tomorrow, where we talk about Terrifier 2. Very excited to talk about Art the Clown. We have a lot to say about that. Ow.
You guys will hear our thoughts about that tomorrow.
Yeah.
But until then,
happy Halloween, horror freaks. Stay safe and stay spooky.